So our next session is about mental health. The title is Grace Over Grind, Navigating Mental Wellness in a Culture of Busyness. So Karina is a psychologist and co-founder of Calm. The Instagram, if you want to check it out, is get.calm, KALM. It's a mental health company that provides mental service for a lot of things, including offices and support group. Karina, you want to add a bit on that?
So we started mainly with an app. So there is an online counseling app you can check out for your own counseling. If you need someone to talk to you in English, we have English speaking counselors. But the main navigation is in Indonesian right now, so you might need the help of your friend or something if you cannot speak Indonesian. But yeah, I started this because it will extend my calling to help people in the mental health industry. I used to think online counseling, will it work? Does it work? Might it replace me as like an offline counselor? After working as one, as an online counselor, and looking at the world around us, it works. It's not even a replacement. It's sometimes an enhancement of your online offline counseling, or sometimes people can't it's Jakarta.
Yeah.
It's traffic everywhere, so if you can't make it to your offline session, you can do it online from wherever you are. But yeah, ask me more on this, but follow Instagram it's the most detailed place where you can check out about Calm. But yeah, after this, if you want to ask more about Calm to me, please do. Thank you.
That's awesome. So I think even you touched base about calling, right? So just briefly share with us what made you got into counseling or mental health.
Yeah, so I will always preface this with saying I'm the anomaly. I'm not normal in terms of, I've always known, as in since I was 7, that God wants me to be a psychologist. It's weird. It's super weird, but like I knew the moment my mom she's also an anomaly in that she was aware of psychology, mental health. She's not a psychologist, but she has friends who are psychologists, so she knows that kids, you don't wait until there's a problem to take your kids to the psychologist. The way she said it was, I want to become a good mom who knows. So I have 2 older brothers. So I have 3 kids, 3 different kids. So I want to get to know them specifically because they're all unique. So she took us to the psychologist, and then me not knowing what even is a psychologist at 7 years old, did IQ tests, but also when you see as a kid, when you see a psychologist, you don't just do tests. You talk to them, you play with the psychologist. So leaving that room, I was like, what's that? What's that job? At that moment, it was only you get to listen to people and get paid. That was I do that for free with my friends at school. I do. So since that moment, it wasn't like a divine calling at that moment. But yeah, there's later when I was 14 at school, we had career week. So every year where we went to school, there's career week when you're in grade 9. That was the more clear calling then. So I made posters about being a psychologist. But yeah, it was at 7 years old. I was like, I think this is what I want to do. I think we'll see how it goes. Didn't know how much it pays. Didn't know how long it will take me to get the education. But that's the beginning of it. And then every point of life since, so about to graduate high school, I pray to God. I ask Him, hey God, is this still what you want me to do for the rest of my life? Or, I don't know. Just let me know. Don't get me into that school if you don't want me to. I was pretty lazy about this, in that God, just please let me know. I'm gonna apply, but can you reject me?
Any questions, please scan the QR code so that we are able to send them and display them in during the Q&A session. So, based on your experience, as a psychologist and co-founder of Calm, what are some of the biggest mental health problems of young adult females these days? Maybe particularly, especially in Indonesia.
Yeah. So I've been officially a psychologist for around 6 years now, going on 7. It hasn't changed since then. Throughout the 6 years I've become a psychologist, the main two, I'll just say two, yeah, because there's a lot, but the main two topic raised in sessions by young women, young adults, are anxiety about the future, usually. So what am I gonna be? Who am I gonna marry? Am I gonna be anything? Am I gonna be someone? Should I go back to school? Should I go apply for a different job? All the things about, worries about their future. But the other thing that they don't come in knowing that it's their issue, but in all of my sessions with young women, people my age, I'm still young too, and so people, young adults and adults, they don't come in knowing again, but it will be revealed, and it's eventually always revealed in sessions. Might not be session 1, maybe session 5, but it is that we now have to live with the repercussions of our childhood, things that happen in our childhood. Perhaps our parents, they don't mean to hurt us, but they did, or actual physical traumas, sexual abuse, other types of abuse you don't realize. Emotional abuse might not be from parents, maybe from other people. So we heal that, we work on that, we process that. But again, not everyone comes in the room knowing, hi, please, I have a trauma, let's work on this, But those two things kind of connected in that it may be the explanation of why you don't know what to do next, It's why you're confused, it could be why you're anxious of trying to figure out what's next for me, and there's so many options, or to me there are no options. It could be because something that has happened in the past that needs to be healed or worked on. I would say processed. I think that's the best word.
Yeah. See a lot of ladies giggling and nodding. So as you can see, we got a bit of spoilers before, just in case if you want to get any session. So coming in, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions when people want to meet with a counselor or psychologist?
I think that a lot of people kind of already know that it's gonna be hard work, so they just skip it altogether. It's like, I'm gonna cry a lot. It's gonna be hard. So I'm like, to my response to that would be, well, everything in life is hard. You're gonna pick your hard. Also, it's so worth it. It's so worth it doing the hard work. Yes, while doing the hard work, it's like, I call it in Indonesia, I don't know how to say it in English, it's the same. Berdarah-darah.
Bersusah-susah dulu, berenang-renang kemudian.
No. So it's like you're bleeding in this process. Not literally bleeding, but the process of healing from trauma, healing from pain, healing from people who hurt you, but does not even know they hurt you. That's hard stuff. So
I know the English word.
What was that?
Beauty is pain. No pain, no gain.
Okay, so it is hard. That's not a misconception per se, but that it's skippable. That's the misconception per se, I think. So it's healing yourself, with a professional and with God as well. Is not skippable. I don't think it's an option. Should I do this or not? It's a matter of when, with who, because you need to find someone who clicks with you and all that. It's okay to change a counselor if you don't click with the first one. It's a matter of when, how, and the reality of how long this might be. Because 30 years of pain cannot be healed in one night. Not at least in the world of psychology, that doesn't work like that. It works in layers. It works in time.
Yeah.
So that I think would be that. So yeah, it is hard. Correct. So not a misconception, but it's worth it. The truth that it's worth the hard work.
Amen. I think there's been a theme, right? What Sister Gigi said and what you said. It takes time and it takes work, right? And we shouldn't give up. So when do we know when to seek help or from a professional? Is this for everyone to just go, or is
Yeah.
it there's a borderline?
Yeah. So a few things about this. Yes, sometimes there are people who are too extreme. Let's say, oh, every little thing. They're okay. I think I think this is something wrong with me. You know what? In general, there's always something wrong with us. Does not make us bad. Does not make us, wrong or anything. But there's always something to work on. I would say there's always something to improve on about us. So, which is why let's not wait until there's dysfunction. So when I say dysfunction, I mean in your role every day, as whoever you are, as a friend, as a worker, say, whatever you do, as a student, if there are still students here, as a wife, as a mom. So if that's the, borderline where if there's already a dysfunction in one of your roles, that please go. But let's not wait until then, I would say. So which is why if there's such a thing as a physical medical checkup, I do mental health checkups as well. So if you're not sure, that could be a sign to check. Like, I've been thinking about this, should I? Yes. I tell people, when should I go see a psychologist? Yesterday. Yeah. Because if you've been wondering that, it does not 100% mean right now you're dysfunctional, but if you've been wondering, go talk to someone, because it can be nice. Also, I keep saying like it's hard and all that, but there are moments where I would call it magical, but that may be too much. But you will experience life-changing things in counseling as well, in your process of healing as well. So if you've been wondering, I say go for it. But the most urgent, I guess, let's do that, marker is if there's a dysfunction in your role. Let's say you work at at your office and your productivity has been decreasing in the past 2 weeks, or even 1 week. You don't feel like yourself. That's another marker. And then sometimes we're not the best mirrors of ourselves. We think, I'm okay. Yeah, who are the denialists here? I'm okay, I'm fine. But if someone who knows you says something, please believe them. If they say, hey, you haven't been like yourself lately, believe them. Because maybe they're right. They're probably right. So that's another way. If you don't think you're like, I'm okay, yeah, I'm not dysfunctional, I can still do everything, but like inside it's like breaking, but I can do everything, still productive, But then someone who knows you, again, not everyone can be this mirror for you, only those who truly know you. If they say, you haven't been like yourself lately, or hey, are you okay? Do you want to talk, stuff like that? If they're already doing that, maybe time to seek someone. You can start with your friends. To be fair, you don't always have to go straight to a professional. I would go if that close person reaches out, stay there, but there is a limit, right? As in, not all your friends are professionals. Not even that. They might not be even basically trained in how to listen well, which is another thing I would love to encourage everyone to do, is to learn how to be a good listener, because you never know who need your ears right now. But yeah, start there, and then if you're confused, now you know at least one source. There's Calm to ask things to. There's me to ask things to. Where next, what next. But start with your best friend, start with your sister in Christ, and go forward from there.
Yeah. I think there's like a double-sided coin to that. I think sometimes we're afraid to say something, but I definitely encourage you guys, in Encounter, we like to say, don't be afraid to step in the front. I think in that close relationship, we help them to see their true reflection, right? So we're most likely to be blinded by ourselves. So you mentioned about one of the biggest things that young adult women are facing are, anxiety about the future. Can you give us a few practical steps in how to manage this, manage anxiety, stress? What do we do when we get triggered?
So I will go to the like very, very practical one, but there's the general practical one. I don't know how to explain this, but the thing with anxiety is you have to understand why you feel that way first. And it's usually about two things. It's about not feeling in control, so you're worried, or you're regretting something that has happened. So like you feel like it's under the same umbrella of not feeling in control, and that something has happened and you overthink it. Oh, what if this person says that? What if this person thinks this way about me? And that conversation has passed, but you feel like you can do something. Like, can I change what happened? No. Also, can I control the future? Also, no. So understand that the desire to control is human, but the truth is you cannot. You know, who is in control? God is, right? So, I mean, I'm not a theologian, but what I've understood about this is that we do have, we kind of want to be God sometimes, right? We feel like we have the right to control when you don't. So there are things you can, even planning is an attempt to control. And we should plan a little bit here and there, but know that plans are not a sure way to, control your life or control your future or even your past, which is more impossible to control. So I guess the general / still practical, but the more general one is to believe in the truth that you cannot control everything. You can control some things, but not everything. And then the other way, I mean, the next thing is, okay, that's the theory, but while I'm in the moment of feeling anxious, feeling worried, palms sweating, heart beating faster than usual, what am I supposed to do? Breathing correctly would be my answer. So you would think it's simple and like, oh, I know how to breathe. Do you? Do you know how to breathe? There are wrong ways to breathe, apparently. And my tip would be, I'm gonna teach you how to breathe. How I say this, breathe like Adele. Because this is how singers breathe. And this is the most relaxing way to breathe, as in the effect of this way of breathing is relaxing. This is the breathing you do when you don't even think about it. When you get home, and we can't do it here, but lie down, just flat on your back, lie down. Don't even think about is this correct? Is it the correct way of breathing? So you are designed by God, I will say, to breathe the correct way, the relaxing way when you sleep, like when you lie down. And that is a belly breathing. So even if you want to do another way of breathing, you can't really. Yeah. So it's when you inhale, I can show it. I don't know if you can see my stomach, but when you, I'll press tighter so you can do. So when you inhale, instead of air going into your chest and your chest going up and your shoulders going up, so that's the wrong one. That's chest breathing. That's not okay. So let me take it up first. When you breathe, so that's the wrong way. But I bet you, 80% of you breathes like that. And then when you feel anxious, like I said, deg-degan we call it, right? When your heart is beating faster, you breathe that way, you're gonna be even more anxious. You're gonna feel like you're drowning because you're trying to fill up your chest when the anxiety is right here. So what you want to do is fill your stomach or your belly, so we call it belly breathing. Fill your belly with air instead of your chest. It's super, it takes practice, but it's this one little practical thing that it can change the game. I don't want to say change your life, but it can change the anxiety game. No, your problems or whatever is causing you to be anxious right now is not gone. It's still there. You're gonna still have to face it after you feel more relaxed. The thing is, you've been trying to fix it while you're still anxious. We cannot, and this is just how our body works. So psychology is, so I learned psychology. Psychology to me simplified is the study of thoughts, feelings, and behavior. So your thoughts, it's here. Obviously, everything is here actually. So thoughts, feelings, behavior, I guess, is out like this. But we say feelings is here, but it's all in our brain. So it's a play of those three. So when your feelings or emotions are big and overwhelming, and it could even be happiness. I'm not just talking about the not nice ones like anxiety or anger or sadness. They're not nice to feel, right? But even happiness can be overwhelming. And when you're too happy, you cannot think clearly. You just can't. That's why you might make dumb decisions when you're too happy. You can also make dumb decisions when you're too anxious, so don't. That's why you have to calm yourself down first, think clearly now, then make decisions.
That's why you get calm. I love that.
You have to calm yourself down first. So that breathing is how you calm yourself down just enough. I would usually rate your level of anxiety. So the goal is not to get to 0. That's also another, I guess, misconception in that, okay, if I'm anxious at a 10 right now, I have to get to a 0 right now. Oh, you'll never find anything that will get you there. Your body needs time to slowly calm down. So if you're at a 10 anxious, realistically go to a 7. Just don't make yourself, because you're gonna panic even, oh my God, I'm still anxious, I'm not a 0 anxious. Yeah, you can't right now. You need maybe an hour to get to 1. So in the first 15 minutes, get to a 7 if you can, if you're at a 10, So and how you do that is by belly breathing. Breathe correctly. Drink if you need to drink. Sometimes we forget, again, because we're quote unquote dumb when we're overwhelmed with emotions. We're a little bit dumber because IQs don't change, but a little bit dumber in the moment we're anxious or overwhelmed with emotions. So get yourself to a clear enough headspace to then, all right, even ask yourself again, what do I need right now? Instead of asking, how do I solve this problem? You might even need a friend to figure that out. You need another person to talk to figure that out. So that could be the answer to what do I need right now? Oh, I need to talk about this to someone. Oh, I need to do some research first. Oh, I need to sleep first. Oh, I need to eat first. Oh, I need to pray first. Oh, I need to whatever first. That does not, there's a rule to self-soothing strategies. It's whatever works for you, but there's 2 main rules about self-soothing strategies or activities or things you do to calm yourself down. It's whatever works for you, but it has to be both, not one or the other. It has to work, as in it has to calm yourself down. So if you ask me, oh Karina, what do you do to calm yourself down? My way might not be your way. So then if you, I'm gonna do what Karina does, and then you do it and it doesn't work for you, you're gonna feel frustrated. Oh, I'm worse, or I'm worse than Karina, I'm bad at this, why does this not work for me? So it has to work for you, that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is it cannot harm anyone. It cannot be harmful for you, it cannot be harmful to others. Because there are people who self-harm to soothe themselves. So that does not tick the 2 rules. It works for them, I guess, but it harms them, so that doesn't work. We need to find another way. Yeah. So when you're in the moment of feeling worried, anxious, breathe correctly. And this needs practice, by the way. I've been breathing correctly since I was 7 because I joined the choir. So I'm 32 now. I've been breathing correctly for a long time. I don't even, I have to kind of make myself to breathe the wrong way. So if today is your day 1, don't beat yourself up. Oh man, I'm still breathing. I'm still chest breathing. That's okay. You only heard about this today. You practice this 3 to 5 minutes per day for however long you need. Then you're gonna start breathing your norm would be that correct way of breathing. But until then, practice it. Watch, and don't make it harder on yourself. Just go Google or YouTube belly breathing exercise, just follow that video for 3 to 5 minutes every day. If you get bored with this video, go to another video. Just do this every day until your norm, while not lying on your back, because when you're lying on your back, you don't even need to think about this. So that while you're sitting, while you're standing, while you're running, while you're worried in any shape or form, when you're awake, you breathe belly breathing. So yeah,
That's really helpful.
I hope I answered this.
Yeah. Breathe. I think our last question before our Q&A starts. Do you have any tips on how to manage pressure before getting burnt out?
So burnout is the more intense version of stress. So stress is, we all will feel it at some point in our life, and it's even good sometimes. So there are 2 types of stress. There's distress, D-I-S, distress, and eustress, eustress. So eustress is the good kind of stress. It's the stress that motivates you, makes you want to grow, makes you want to do things. Like even day to day, we kind of need eustress. Otherwise, we'll just be lying on our bed doing nothing. Okay, for some days, I have those days where I just want to sleep and watch a movie or something. But that can be my everyday, right? So eustress is necessary, but this distress is we need to deal with it, and it's avoidable. Let's try to avoid it or deal with it if you're already feeling it. That's pressure that making you feel like you can't do anything or making you perform worse than usually. So distress needs to be avoided, and if you keep it there and not do anything about it, it might accumulate to feeling burnout or experiencing burnout. Burnout is already at a point where you, again, dysfunction happens. Some area of your life is not working as it should, either at work, usually it's work, but someone can feel burnout in some other activity, at school, at being a mother, being a friend. You can even feel burnt out by being a friend if that's what you do so much and it stresses you out. So to prevent it, manage your stress. That's how we prevent burnout, because we don't want it to go beyond normal, manageable day-to-day stress. But if you're already feeling burnt out, there is no other remedy but to take a break. You might need to take a leave of absence from work. How long depends, but it is hard, or I don't want to say impossible, but super hard to heal burnout without taking a break, because you kind of need to reset some things. But to prevent it, self-care. I say this like it's easy, but it's not. But I'm just gonna answer it, right? Like self-care, know your limits, set boundaries. These are all the Googleable things, but the application is hard. I'm not saying, if some of you here are in your heart saying, easy for her to say, yes, easy for me to say, not the easiest thing to do, but you do it. I do it. I take care of my mental health. I can get burnt out too from listening to people. So I prevent that because I want to be the best listener I can be every time I'm in session. So I take care of my mental health. I have a counselor too. I have, my support group too. I have my emotional support too. So I have my sisters in Christ too. All of those are factors that you need to take care of your mental health. Do them all.
Yeah. One thing to know, I think dysfunction is a very good vocabulary to identify, but we cannot label ourselves as dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Like what Sis Gigi shared, it's not our identity, right? Our identity starts with a child of God. So let's start with the Q&A, and can we have the first question? Let me turn. What's the difference between a counselor, therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist? I don't even know.
Okay.
Help us.
Counselor, therapist. So in Indonesia, we rarely use the word therapist. It's a very Western American thing. But basically, a therapist is a psychologist, usually. Yeah. So that's, I'm just going to coret that for now because we rarely use that word in Indonesia. So
Coret.
yeah. So usually, you can say, oh, I see my therapist. Yeah, that's fine. But that will, unless I clarify with you, I'm just gonna first assume a psychologist. So a counselor may or may not be professional. They may or may not have legit training in counseling, in like proper counseling. So that's a counselor. They can hopefully they have basic listening skills so they can make you feel heard. That's a counselor. A psychologist will have to have the skills of a counselor, bare minimum, but they have more things they can do that a counselor maybe don't because they don't have the license or they don't have the training. So a psychologist, that's me. A psychologist have to go to school for a certain amount of years and specific type of study, undergrad, master's minimum. In the US, it's even PhD or S3 minimum. But in Indonesia and most Asian countries, it's minimum master's degree. So that's what I have. A psychologist can do IQ tests or other personality tests that a counselor may not have the skill to do so. But a psychologist cannot prescribe medication. So I'm not a doctor. Although when I work in a hospital, they call me a doctor. It's gonna take forever to correct them. So I'm like, yeah, okay. But I'm not a doctor. So a psychologist cannot prescribe you medication. They could refer you to a psychiatrist who is a doctor, who studies medicine, have become a doctor umum first, so a general practitioner first, then they do even more years of study to become a specialist in psychiatry, and they become psychiatrists. They can prescribe you medication. So I'm a psychologist. If my client needs medication, from my assessment, I think they need medication, I would refer them to a psychiatrist. Sometimes that would mean full referral, as in their counseling sessions moving forward might be with that psychiatrist as well. But unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, not all psychiatrists want to spend their time, 1 hour of counseling with their patients. A lot of them, and this can be anywhere in the world, only want to see their client for 10 to 15 minutes. And it may be enough to assess a little bit and give medication or renew medication. It's not enough to make the client or the person feel heard. They need hour session, 1 hour, 1.5 hours. And that's where usually counselors and psychologists come in. So some of my clients see a psychiatrist for meds, but stay with me for counseling and other types of therapies. Some, if their psychiatrists are those who are willing to spend 1 hour per week or every other week for a session, then they don't see me anymore, and that's okay. Because if your psychiatrist can do it all, stay with them. You don't need to do the double thing. But if your psychiatrist only prescribes you medication, then stay with your counselor still for counseling. I hope that explains it. So it's kind of it's a hierarchy, but also it could be a collaboration where I speak to my client psychiatrist. We correspond, and the same way a counselor. If you are a counselor, whether you're a professional counselor or not, if when you speak to a friend or a client, this is beyond my ability, this is beyond my scope, please refer them for your good and their good. Please refer them to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I would say the best place to start if you're not sure would be, I don't know, in IES, is there a counselor? No, yes?
Are you available?
So yeah, start with where you are. If your church has one, go see that counselor first. If you're in a school or in a university with a counselor, go see that counselor first. The freer, the better, no? Right? Because the more pressure of financial pressure, because it does, you do need to invest. Yeah, you need to invest in this. I say invest because there will be fruit later. But right now you invest your time and money and energy in this journey. So, yeah.
Know that there will be fruit later. You have to be patient.
Yeah. There's this quote, and this is, for us, it's a study of, right? It's a science. But who created science? God. So, the more, I know, some people have shared their stories that the more they study science, the more they don't believe in God. I don't know why with me it's the exact opposite. The more, even before I became a psychologist, even at school, to me, the class that makes me believe God even more is biology.
You're a bio kid.
So detailed. So how, what, cells, all the, to me, that shows me how big God is, how creative He is, how amazing He is. So the same way as I studied in undergrad and then in master's, the more, and even now, because I'm not in school officially anymore, but as a psychologist, it's a lifelong learning thing. So the more I study psychology, mental health, and all that, the more I believe in God. I don't know, that's how it works for me anyway. So, yeah, God will use people. Listen to Him, who He guides you to, who He sends you to, and who He sends to you. Sometimes, like I said, you're not the best mirror for yourself. So if somebody approaches you and wants to support you, don't push them away. So for me, I never blatantly say in a moment of, in a session or even in a conversation with a sister or a brother in Christ, I never say, just pray. I usually ask them first, what works for you? And when they say prayer usually makes me feel calmer, please do that again and again, every day, all day, every day. Again, the rules. If it works for you, do it. And it does not harm anyone. Prayer doesn't harm anyone. Prayer is even the opposite of harmful, right? So I check in with them first, things like that, like what works for you. If, being close to people, being heard works for me. Please go get heard, go to someone who can make you feel heard. And if you already have that in your life, that's a gift, because not everyone have that in their life. What breaks me sometimes is that I am often, as a professional, the first person in someone's life that has ever made them feel heard, and that's not okay. I do it, and I'm glad God has chosen me to be that first person, but I don't think that's how God wants it to be. I think He wants us to feel heard from the get-go, from since we were kids. He wants us to feel heard by someone, to feel loved by someone. But sometimes this broken world ruins that plan, right? So go get heard. And then, if prayer works for you, please pray. But then if this person nothing works for me, right? I've tried everything, nothing works for me, then I sometimes share what works for me. You can try it. I cannot guarantee this will work for you. But if you have zero idea of what to do to calm yourself down, to feel better, you can try other people's strategies. Again, keep that in mind. It might not immediately work for you, or it might not be the only thing that needs to be done. Like, there's action that needs to be made as well. Pray every day, please, as believers, as followers of Christ. Talk to Him every day. He wants to have a relationship with you. So, mental health or no mental health issue, talk to your God, But then also, again, listen to Him. If He wants you to take action, please take action. And don't just God already tell you to go see a counselor. You don't do it, and you're like, oh, God is not working. He told you to go see someone, and you're not doing it. How is that God not working? That's you not working. That's you not doing what God wants you to do. So don't mistake those things, I'll say. So Christianity to me is at the core of psychology. The more I learn this, it's because we are human beings. Somebody created us. Something. If you're not sure, are we really created? Yes. We are creations. We were created. So if there's some quote unquote dysfunctions with this creation, who do you go see? The Creator. Who do you go check for? The manual or whatever? The Creator. If you have created something, you know how to fix it. So go talk to your Creator and listen to who He uses, who He sends to you to help you heal yourself, to help you, fix the dysfunction in your heart, in your mind, in your roles, in your relationships. So for me, this is not a an opposite thing. It's a there's a marriage in mental health and spirituality, Christianity, God, because we're human beings. I study humans, right? Like psychology is the study of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of humans. There's gonna be some limit to that if you don't also seek the creator of humans. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. That was a lot of information for me personally. I think even not knowing what's the difference between a psychologist, psychiatrist, I just know that people visit professionals, right? So I think in summary that, taking a break, healing, processing with God is so important, and having people around you. Just wanna thank you so much for this session. If you ladies have any more questions, feel free to speak to Karina straight away or get in touch with getcalm, get.kalm, as spelled right. So thank you. That's
You're
all.
welcome. Thank you, everyone.